Jamie, I'm so excited to be sitting here with you. There's so much to talk about, especially since the last time we spoke. Things are really happening for you. I want to start, though, with your love for Janet Jackson. I have a feeling that's kind of what edged you towards this type of career. Tell me about it.
Yeah, I remember I was probably 4 or 5 when I first saw and fell in love with Janet. Michael was my inspiration behind actually wanting to be a performer. I originally wanted to be a singer and dancer. As time would tell, I couldn't sing. Dance was my first true love, so I actually danced for a number of years before I got into acting. But Janet was definitely the first woman that I ever looked at that I thought, you know what, God, you did something really great in making Janet Jackson. Yeah, so I've loved her ever since I was really small.
And what I love is it's something that you can tell brings you and your mother even closer together.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's only one of Janet's world tours that my mom didn't come to for whatever reason. But ever since my very first one, which was Rhythm Nation, we've been to every single world tour. We've not missed a Janet Jackson tour. And most notably, the most recent one, I got us front row tickets. So we were sitting front row, and Janet would come over and like wave at us and smile and stuff, and it was like really really special.
Being a performer yourself, what's your favorite part of her show in particular?
You know what, she's people said that Michael put on what would be like the greatest stage show. And though it pains me to admit that I never got to see him live, um, nobody can touch Janet Jackson. The size of her everything is what has paved the way for the Gagas, the Taylor Swifts, the Justin Timberlakes by way of big sets. And now a lot of the performers are using these big digital screens and light shows and stuff. But Janet Jackson was a person who had a big castle would come out, like, and like her changes for her wardrobe every few songs, the fact that she was singing and dancing throughout the whole show, the number of dancers that she employed, her production value is so high. And even now, as much as she might have slowed slightly at 50 versus 30, she still puts on such an amazing show, and it's I think the overall production value is what sets her apart from basically everyone else. Just everything that she does when she's on the stage with her dancers and whatnot.
So being a child who's already into dancing, knows maybe he can't sing as well as he'd like to. What's going through little Jamie's mind while he's sitting there watching this huge show, knowing what type of career he wants?
It was just man. I would watch her on stage, and it would motivate me to just work harder. And when I was young, I think I started when I was around 7. I used to actually impersonate Michael Jackson. So I would get hired by various community events, weddings, so on and so forth. So yes, Michael like inspired me by way of what I would watch on television, but watching Janet live on stage, I would often draw from that and say, hey, man, if Janet Jackson can be on stage singing and dancing for 2 hours, like my 4 minutes routine here, like I should be able to handle this. So she definitely contributes to my work ethic. That's for sure.
Then you take your dancing steps, what you do so well, and you decide that that's not enough. Why acting?
I think for me, not I think for me, I was actually in a really bad car accident, and I was hit by a drunk driver, and that is actually what pulled me out of the dance world. Yeah, so I was doing like quite well with dance. The accident happened, and for about 10 months, I was doing this extensive physio and kinesiology program where I would go 5 days a week for 4 hours a day, like basically to like learn how to walk again. Then it was get comfortable behind a wheel of a car, which I didn't drive for more than a year. So when I got back into the studio, it felt like I literally like lost a step. I couldn't see the choreography and pick it up as quickly as I was before. You could show me 5 8 counts and I could watch it twice and then I could do it. Where when I got back after the car accident, I had to see 1 8 count over and over and over, and it became so frustrating. And on top of the physical ailments, like I was tighter, I was stiffer, and on top of not being able to just pick up the choreography, it's what ended my dance career. And then I got into business for a number of years, but I always knew that I was meant to be like a performer. And one day I just woke up and said, let's do this.
So by the time the accident had happened, had you already had numerous roles as a dancer in TV shows?
Yeah, so I had done actually no prior to the accident, I had done a lot of dancing for various like music artists, both locally, internationally. I had done some commercials, so it was a lot of artists, a lot of backup dancing, a little bit of teaching, but mostly backup dancing for various artists, commercials and music videos. And then actually after my car accident, most of my commercial success in like say film and television was actually after the car accident, but by accident.
Really?
No pun intended. Yeah.
So now 2017 hits, you're the face of Best Buy.
Yeah, that was really cool. It was originally just going to be like a small spot, and then they called and said, "Hey, we want to run everything with him longer. We want to push it more." And it ended up being, the better part of 3/4 of the year that I was the Best Buy guy.
And now Samsung.
And Samsung, yeah. So starting in 2014, Samsung reached out and said, "Hey, we want to send you some stuff." So the original relationship was that they would just give me some of the product, and I already love Samsung products, so it was really easy for me to tweet about it or whatever. And then as of 2017, then they said, "Hey, we want to up this relationship and do more with you and do bigger and better campaigns with you." And I've just finished my second big campaign with them, and hopefully we continue to do stuff together because it's going really well.
That's great.
Yeah.
And of course, you're not stopping at commercials. The last time we spoke, it was about Perfect Pickup,
Yeah.
which you played an awesome character. I absolutely loved him. But you've done so much since then. That was 2015.
Yeah. So yeah, after the Perfect Pickup, around the time of getting cast in the Perfect Pickup, which is mid 2015, that's when things really start to take off for me. So I did this Hallmark film, The Bridge, and it's based on a New York Times best-selling novel by Karen Kingsbury. It's called The Bridge, and they did it in two parts, The Bridge Part 1, Part 2, and I played a character named Lucifer, a soul food chef from the South, and that actually became Hallmark's #1, like the highest viewed Hallmark movie of all time thus far. Yeah, people really loved The Bridge, and now you can see it repeating regularly throughout the year. From the Bridge movies, was that 2016? I was in the Power Rangers movie.
What was that like?
That was really cool. Because I grew up, like, I was the generation of the original Power Rangers, right? So in like 93, 94, when Power Rangers came out, that was my jam.
Who was your favorite?
Tommy, the White Ranger.
He was the best.
Tommy was the best, man. Yeah, I love Tommy, and I still have all my Tommy's thing was Saba, like the sword. I still have Saba and all my yeah. So I loved. It was just cool for nostalgic reasons just to be on that set. Even if my scenes weren't with any of the Power Rangers. Like it didn't matter. Exactly, it didn't matter. I was in the Power Rangers movie, so that was cool.
And now you're just everything that's coming out. Whether it's a guest star role, whether it's a surprise role. You were in Lucifer.
Yeah, Lucifer. The last episode of Lucifer that was being shot in Vancouver before they moved the show down to back down to LA. Casting called and said, "Hey, it's a smaller role than he's now doing, but we really want to get him on the show. Would take a look at the sides and tell us if you'd be interested." So I looked at them and I thought, you know what? If Clark and Paige, whom are my favorite casting directors, if they call and say anything, I go and I do that because I love them. They've always treated me fantastically. And yeah, I played this hot cop as a surprise to one of the leads on the show. It was her birthday, and I do this like strip tease and I jump out of the cake, and it was a lot of fun.
That's not the only time you've had to not necessarily do a strip tease, but wear a little bit less clothing.
Yeah, that was the second time I was on one of the recurring shows that I was in 2016. Was the Romeo section, which is a critically acclaimed drama by Chris Haddock, and it's about spies and espionage. And I played a character named Don, whom was a bartender by day and danced in drag at night. So that was really, really wild to be on this stage in front of 50 crew, 20 background, and doing this big dance number, like these numbers with the big feathers and no clothes. No clothes. So that was really cool because I felt like it really stretched me as a performer.
I remember how excited you were about that part. How do you turn yourself into that? How do you get into that character?
Yeah, funny enough, the head costumer on the show, he on one of our fittings, I don't know, I think he just took it upon himself to be kind. He brought this huge stack of photos and like literature of the drag scene in New York in like the 80s and 90s. And I took it home and I studied it, and I watched what I could watch online, because anytime you're playing um, a, a demographic of people, it's easy to become stereotypical or underwhelming. And I know we'll talk about Unreal, but that was one of the biggest things that I didn't want. And when I had Dawn, I didn't want to be stereotypical, and I didn't want to be underwhelming. So I didn't have a lot of time because I had actually just wrapped on Wayward Pines. I was recurring on Wayward Pines, and I jumped right into the Romeo section, which is amazing. But I only had about a week to kind of mentally prepare myself with this character in Dawn. So that one was really interesting.
That's so exciting. Just to be able to form yourself into something completely different. Yeah. It takes a lot, and I think that you really excel with that.
Thank you. Like I had never walked in heels, like in my life, and I regularly would see like ladies walking at 3 o'clock in the morning after the club, and just looks terrible. It looks painful, and I would say, I'd make comments like, "Hey man, if you can't wear them, like, don't wear them. Just put some flats in your purse." And after that, no, I say nothing now, because that sacrifice that women make, I guess, and guys that dress in drag. But that, man, my calves hurt for 4 days. I don't know how you guys do it. I don't. Oh my gosh, it hurts so much. It hurts so much. And I had 10 hours on set in these heels, and I told myself that unless they were paying me very well, I would never put heels on again, because that was really hard. So I gotta commend women everywhere and men that dress in drag for wearing heels. Thank you for your sacrifice, because it is no joke.
Do you find now that if you walk into a shoe store, you'll actually look at heels?
I've always liked pretty shoes. Like, I like feet. I'm not trying to sound weird, but I've always tend to like look at a woman's shoes or feet. So I've always appreciated shoes. But now I have a more fond appreciation of like what it takes to actually wear them.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. Maybe every guy should have to walk one day in a pair of heels.
Yeah. One day, just one day.
Just one day.
It is no joke. It is really no joke.
I can tell you, there are comfier heels than others.
Okay.
So if the situation ever comes up again, come to me, and we'll go shoe shopping together.
Please, yeah, because those 4 inches, they weren't even super tall, but they were like 3 or 4 inches, and yeah, they took me out for a week.
Now, you talked about Lucifer being a smaller role than what you're now doing. I'm gonna jump back to an even smaller role when you were part of the Big Time movie.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. So that was actually really cool, because my first couple of years, so basically 2012 was when I started like taking class, and I was in business, and like I said, I sold my businesses to just become an actor. And then, to not be living out of your savings, I would do anything. I was bartending a little bit. I was doing background work, a little bit of standing in, and just really trying to learn as much as I could learn about the industry, because they try to teach you how to act in school, but you don't learn anything else. And I remember my first time on set as an actor after having been on set doing background, and it was still like such a steep learning curve, because you often don't walk and talk in class. You stand on a mark, and especially if it's like an auditioning class, and you're learning technique, but when you get to set and you have to do anything and deliver lines in character, it's a completely different beast. So the Big Time movie was one where I was actually like a background performer on the day, and one of the assistant directors was like, "Hey, we like that guy's look," and then they call me over and they say, "Hey, can you act?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm in class, I'm trying." They said, "Listen, we're gonna get you to do this. We're gonna give you a line. We're gonna make you this. How do you feel about it?" And that was my very first upgrade, and one of my first acting credits.
It's got to be a huge compliment.
Yeah, it was great. Like I had a lot of fun, and it was, you know, a long day on set, but it was one of those that you know, I feel like I got lucky, but then I had a lot of fun with it, and I'm glad that they took a shot on just bringing me into that for a role that they had never planned for, right? So that was fun.
And it's cool too because it's a movie, for those of you who don't know, who it came from a TV show.
Right.
So it already had a huge following, and now.
Real band from a TV show, yeah.
So have you followed the band since? Do you know what James Maslow's up to? Stephen Kramer Glickman?
No, I don't. I haven't. If I'm honest, I was super pumped to be a part of it then, and then when the movie came out, you know, sent the link to the family so they could take a look and whatnot, and people would take pictures of the TV when they saw me in it. But I haven't. If I'm honest, I haven't followed up with them.
You know it's going to come up in other interviews where they're going to show a video clip of you from your very first time.
That is for sure going to happen. Yeah.
Now, we have to talk about Unreal because that's huge. It's coming into its it came into its third season in February, and we're going to see you in it soon.
Yeah. So the last episode, you got a little teaser of my character Xavier, and Monday the 19th, you're going to meet Xavier full blown, and I'm so pumped because that role is completely unlike anything that I've ever played. And I'm really excited for people to meet Xavier. Yeah.
So when your agent, your publicist, when they call you up and they say, "Look, we've got this audition for you. Here's what you have to do," is there one thing that sort of strikes your mind as, "Yes, I've got to do this"?
Oftentimes, especially when you're like a new to novice level actor, you know, you're doing everything, or you should be doing everything. Later on, you can be a little bit more discerning with the roles that you want to do or the ones that you don't want to do. With this particular role, it's funny because I was in India. I hadn't had a vacation for a couple of years because I'd been blessed to just be working so much. And I was in Goa, got the email from my agent's assistant saying, "Hey, casting wants to see you for this role." Took a read. I thought, you know what? No, I'm not going to do it. Really? I'm on vacation. I'm going to enjoy my time. And then my agent maybe 20 minutes later emailed again saying, "Please, buddy, like casting really wants to see you for this. Can you please put something on tape?" So I kind of hummed and hawed about it, and I thought, you know, with the time difference, I could still like enjoy my day and then put it on tape and get it to them in time. So I did. Then I enjoyed my next few days, went to London for a day, and then landed to like tons of text, emails, missed calls where he's like, "Man, casting, they need to see videos of you dancing. Your character dances. Can you please send me some stuff?" And I sat in the airport for about an hour going through my Dropbox folder trying to find dancing clips of me with artists or just me in class or whatever it may have been. Sent them to my agent. He sent them off, and I think the next day I booked it. And I booked it just off the tape from India.
So that's insanity. Do you think that when they first contacted you, part of your reserve to not do it was because then you'd have added stress on this trip, wondering if you'd booked it?
If I'm like really brutally honest, it was that I was so like I go to Toronto. I'm from Toronto originally, so I go to Toronto every year for Caravana. And when I'm in Toronto, I'm always on. You know, if I'm in Seattle or LA, I'm on. And I told myself, I'm in India. Like, I can be off. So it really didn't have anything to do with the role itself. It was simply that I just didn't want to sit there and learn lines. Yeah. Like, if I'm honest, I just wanted some time to myself to just breathe. And then when I did it, and I took very little time with it and kind of put it aside and didn't really think about it. Because normally, yeah, you're right. You put something on tape and then, or you go in the room and then they tell you you're not supposed to think about it. Like the rules are you're supposed to just forget about it right away. But you're human. It never happens. Yeah. It never happens. But that one actually, surprisingly enough, I didn't think much of it because I was in beautiful Goa. I was having a great time. And when I got back, the stress of it, because now they're showing interest. So now that day felt like an eternity. And then when I got the call saying that they wanted me, it was like, I was so happy that I almost passed on that. I couldn't believe it, you know. But what's supposed to be yours is going to be yours, so it worked out. Yeah.
Everything happens for a reason, and there must have been something in the back of your mind saying, "Yeah, okay, you got to do this."
Yeah, definitely. There was enough of me having something just be like, "Hey, man, just do it," you know, because we were on the beach I had printed off the sides from the office, like the business center, and we were just laying on the beach and did our thing normally because I wanted to run the lines but still not lose a day. So it actually felt pretty painless doing it. And then, like I said, had a few more days there, and then went to London for a day, and then got home, and then it was just like nail biting, like praying every like split second, like God, I want it so badly, Lord.
And then you got it. Best kind of happiness.
It was great.
And we see you for 5 episodes. Is that right?
You'll see me for 4. One of them, episode 2. So the second episode I was supposed to be in, got edited out. Okay. So you'll see me for 4 more.
And then do you know if we get to see you in the future again? Or?
Being how season 3 ends, I know, but I won't say here, just because how my last interaction, my last scenes in the show it's going to leave it so that you wonder what happens next. Okay. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to see it. You just wrapped a movie, The House on Holly Lane. It's a feature.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
It's great. I play a doctor, nice. Dr. Jake Allen, which was really, really cool because I've never played a doctor. Mm-hmm. It was directed by my favorite director, Michael Scott. Shout out Michael Scott. And great cast. The number 1, 2, 3, we have Sarah Lancaster. She was in Saved by the Bell. Gina Holden, Karen Holness. So heavy hitters. And myself, Giles Penn. So there's a lot of great actors in it. A really lovely story. It's not a Christmas movie. It just happens to be set at Christmas. Really nice love story. And I had a blast. I had a blast shooting it. We just wrapped on that, and I'm really excited for people to see that one. And
you say Michael is a favorite director of yours. What makes a director so great in your eyes?
Funny enough, my 2 favorite directors are Michael's. I'm gonna shout both of them out. Mike J. Roll and Michael Scott. I love them both. For me, I think for me and for basically any actor, they're concise. So they know what they want, and they can get that from both the cast and the crew, respectfully, easily, decisively. I don't think I've ever heard either of them yell. And from there, it trickles down. So when you have a director that's calm and decisive and has even just a little bit of personality, they both have a ton of personality. Everybody's just that much happy to work for them, and you'll have crew that will work faster and harder. You have you have actors that will take direction much simpler because they know exactly what they're looking for, and they can come and they can convey that to an actor. If you say stuff like, bigger, well, bigger where, bigger how, bigger is vague, but they'll come in and they'll tell you exactly what they need, and if everything's perfect, they'll say nothing to you, and you know that you're good. Like if they've left you alone, you're doing it exactly right. As you were, please continue. But between Mike J. Roll and Michael Scott, if I tweeted this the other day, if any actor has the opportunity to work with them, they will become their favorites as well because they're such quality. Funny enough, I worked with Mike J. Roll's daughter, Casey Roll, on Wayward Pines. Oh, cool. We were both in that show. And every day we were on set, I'd be like, hey, did you tell your dad I said hi? He's so dope. Tell him I say hi.
She's probably yeah, I get it.
My episode ends, she was like, enough is enough, man. We know you love my dad. That's cool. But he's such a great guy. And Michael Scott, like I said, is the same thing. And we both love Porsches, so it's easy to talk to them. I love being on set with them. So.
Now, being a doctor in this feature, was it weird for you? Are you a doctor with bedside manner? What kind of doctor are you?
Yes. Yeah. Jake Allen definitely has a ton of bedside manner, which can be rare. It's set in a town called Kirkwood Falls, a small town. Most people kind of grow up, leave. Most of the other characters grew up, left, and Jake stayed. And he's like a pillar of the community. He volunteers many weeks a year for Doctors Without Borders. So he's that hardworking guy that likes to give back, but he's also kind of funny. It's written that he's handsome. I don't know whether you agree or not.
How'd that happen?
I don't know. But he's like that nice, wholesome guy that really cares to take care of his community and the people in it. So playing that character was really fun because not just the fact that it was unlike anything that I've ever done. There was nothing else in the movie like it, and I think it's going to bring like a ton of value to the viewing experience when you meet Jake Allen.
No doubt. I really like the fact that you go for the different roles. You're not typecast. You know, as I said before, we saw you in Perfect Pickup. You were a nerd, which might bring in a little bit of the Power Ranger stuff, but that's awesome. And yeah, you jump around. We see you in a whole slew of different things, and I can't wait to see what's next.
Thank you. Yeah, that's actually probably one of the things I pride on on my 5 years now. 2013 was the first year that I started acting professionally, and I really pride myself on the fact that my team and I we've been more choosy in the sense that it's quality versus quantity. And I didn't want to play cop 7 times and be cop number 4, and that's fine. I'm not hating on anyone that does. It was just that I played a police officer once or twice. Okay, we're good there. And then I played a professor in Simeon on Wayward Pines. Cool. And then I played, you're gonna meet Xavier, a haughty dancer from New Orleans. Played a doctor now. My audition tomorrow is actually for a lawyer. That's going to make my mom super proud because that's what I was going to do before. I was originally going to go to law school. So to this day, she always reminds me of the fact that, if you want to go to law school, it's okay. I'm not going to be upset. You're not a quitter in my books. I'm like, no, I'm okay. I'm going to be good with this. I'm going to do
You just have to tell her, with being an actor, she has to understand that she can tell all her friends, hey, my son's a doctor today. 100%. Tomorrow, he's a lawyer.
Exactly. And if I book this lawyer role, that is exactly what it's going to be. It's going to quite literally be that, in February I was a doctor and in March I'm a lawyer. So not everybody can say that. So
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Not bad at all. There's always that last question that I have to ask. It's about your socks.
That's true. You do. I totally forgot that. Yeah. Hey, my sock game, I love socks. My sock game's actually gotten stronger. My birthday's in November, so I got socks for my birthday. I got socks for Christmas. I probably purchased a pair or two. So today, I'm rocking.
Scorpio.
That's right. Nice. November 3rd. So I got the Scorpio socks. You got to keep with. I got the black to keep with the pants. So something has to match. It has the color palettes have to make sense. Add a little pop of color for if the pant comes up a little bit, you see a little bit of the flair. But rocking the Scorpios today. And
you always have the same on both feet, yeah?
Yeah. I tend to I try to keep them uniform, not trying to look weird, just stylish,
What are you trying to say?
Nothing. If you wear 2 different ones, I think it's fantastic.
I think yours are fantastic. They always are. Jamie, thank you so much.
Thanks for talking with me.